I am Cleopatra VII, Philopator, the last pharaoh of Egypt, though history remembers me more for my beauty and lovers than for my intellect and political acumen. Born in 69 BCE, I was not Egyptian but Macedonian Greek, a descendant of Ptolemy I, one of Alexander the Great's most trusted generals. My family had ruled Egypt for 3 centuries, but by my time, our power waned under Rome's growing shadow. Do not believe the Roman propaganda that paints me as merely a seductress. I spoke 9 languages fluently. I was educated in mathematics, philosophy, and rhetoric. I was the first Ptolemaic ruler in centuries who bothered to learn Egyptian, to speak to my people in their own tongue. When I came to power at 18, Egypt was wealthy but weak, a ripe fruit ready to fall into Roman hands. I dedicated my life to preventing that fall. My father, Ptolemy VII, was a weak ruler who survived only through Roman bribes and support. When he died in 51 BCE, he left the throne jointly to me and my younger brother, Ptolemy VIII, who was only 10. Egyptian custom demanded that I marry him, though the marriage was never consummated. He was a puppet in the hands of ambitious advisors who saw me as a threat to their power. Within 3 years, they had driven me from Alexandria. I fled to Syria, raising an army to reclaim my throne. It was then that fate brought Julius Caesar to Egypt. He came pursuing his rival Pompey, who had sought refuge with my brother after his defeat. My brother's advisors, thinking to curry favor, murdered Pompey and presented his severed head to Caesar. They gravely miscalculated. Caesar was horrified by this breach of Roman honor. I saw my opportunity. Legend says I had myself smuggled into Caesar's presence wrapped in a carpet. The truth is less dramatic but more clever. I simply used my wit and charm to gain an audience. I was 21, brilliant, and utterly determined. Caesar was 52, the most powerful man in Rome. Our alliance began as politics, but became something more. Caesar restored me to my throne, and our combined forces defeated my brother's army. Ptolemy III drowned in the Nile, weighed down by his golden armor. I became sole ruler of Egypt, though I was forced to marry my younger brother, Ptolemy XIV, to satisfy tradition. But I was no longer merely a queen. I carried Caesar's child. Our son, Caesarion, was born on June 23, 47 BCE. Caesar never officially acknowledged him, but I proclaimed him publicly as Caesar's heir. I followed Caesar to Rome, living openly as his mistress, while he remained married to Calpurnia. Roman society was scandalized. I, a foreign queen, dared to flaunt my relationship with their dictator. I established a court that rivaled any Roman nobles, displaying Egypt's wealth and my own power. When Caesar was assassinated on the Ides of March, 44 BCE, I was still in Rome. The conspirators might have killed me too, but I fled immediately back to Egypt with Caesarion. My brother-husband Ptolemy XIV conveniently died soon after, likely poisoned on my orders. I made my infant son my co-ruler, securing the succession while I held real power. Rome descended into civil war. I watched and waited, knowing Egypt's fate hung in the balance. When Mark Antony emerged as ruler of Rome's eastern territories, I knew I had found my next ally. In 41 BCE, he summoned me to Tarsus to answer charges that I had aided his enemies. I arrived in a golden barge with purple sails, dressed as Aphrodite. The pageantry was calculated to demonstrate Egypt's wealth and my own divinity. Antony was no Caesar. Where Caesar had been cool and calculating, Antony was passionate and impulsive. He was also a formidable general and politician, holding a third of the Roman world. Our partnership was both personal and political. Together we had 3 children, the twins Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, and later Ptolemy Philadelphus. For a decade we ruled as partners. I funded his campaigns with Egypt's vast wealth. He protected Egypt's independence with Roman military might. We styled ourselves as divine rulers, the reincarnation of Dionysus and Aphrodite, later Osiris and Isis. It was more than propaganda. It was a vision of a new world order combining East and West under our rule. But in Rome, Octavian, Caesar's adopted son, painted us as enemies of Roman values. He published what he claimed was Antony's will, declaring that Antony wished to be buried in Alexandria, not Rome, and had given Roman territories to our children. The Roman Senate was outraged. In 32 BCE, they declared war not on Antony, but on me, the foreign queen who had corrupted their general. The final confrontation came at Actium on September 2nd, 34 BCE. Our combined fleet faced Octavian's navy off the coast of Greece. The battle was a disaster. Whether through treachery or miscommunication, my ships withdrew at a crucial moment. Antony, seeing my purple sails departing, abandoned his fleet to follow me. His men, feeling betrayed, surrendered to Octavian. We retreated to Alexandria, where we spent our final year preparing for the inevitable. We knew Octavian would come. I experimented with poisons, seeking the most painless death. I negotiated secretly with Octavian, trying to save my children and preserve some remnant of Ptolemaic rule. I even offered to abdicate if he would spare Caesarion. When Octavian's forces arrived in 30 BCE, Antony's remaining troops deserted. Receiving false news that I had committed suicide, Antony fell on his sword. Mortally wounded but still alive, he was brought to my mausoleum, where I had barricaded myself with my treasures. He died in my arms, and I knew my own end was near. Octavian allowed me to attend Antony's funeral, but I was now his prisoner. He intended to parade me in chains through Rome in his triumph. I would not give him that satisfaction. On August 12th, 30 BCE, I dressed in my finest royal robes, placed the uraeus crown upon my head, and lay upon my golden couch. How did I die? The romantics say it was an asp, symbol of divine royalty, whose bite brought a peaceful death. The truth is likely more prosaic, probably a carefully prepared poison. My loyal servants, Iris and Charmian, died with me. When Octavian's guards broke in, Charmian was still breathing, adjusting my crown with her final strength. Asked if this was proper for a queen, she gasped, "Most proper, for one descended from so many kings." I was 39 years old. I had ruled Egypt for nearly 2 decades, the last of a dynasty that had lasted 300 years. Octavian murdered Caesarion, eliminating any rival claim to Caesar's legacy. My children by Antony were spared and raised by his Roman wife, Octavia. My daughter Cleopatra VII became queen of Mauritania, the only one of my children to rule. With my death, Egypt became a Roman province, its vast wealth flowing to Rome. The Ptolemaic dynasty ended, and with it, the last of Alexander's successor kingdoms. Octavian, now Augustus, carefully destroyed most records of my reign. What survived was filtered through Roman propaganda, painting me as a wanton seductress who corrupted noble Romans. But I was so much more. I was a naval commander who led her own fleet. I was a diplomat who spoke to ambassadors in their own languages. I was an administrator who managed Egypt's complex economy, making it the wealthiest nation in the Mediterranean. I was a pharaoh who participated in religious ceremonies and was worshipped as a goddess by my people. I was a scholar who wrote treatises on cosmetics, medicine, and mathematics, all now lost. Yes, I used my sexuality as a political tool, but what weapons did a woman have in the ancient world? My beauty opened doors, but my intelligence kept them open. I allied myself with Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, not merely as a lover, but as an equal partner. I bore children who carried both Egyptian and Roman blood, hoping to create a dynasty that would unite East and West. I failed, but my failure was glorious. For 20 years, I kept Egypt independent against the tide of Roman expansion. I made Rome's greatest leaders treat me as an equal. I created a legend that has lasted 2 millennia. Every story told about me, every painting, every film is proof that Rome could kill me, but could not erase me. I am Cleopatra VII, last of the pharaohs, and I played the Game of Thrones against the greatest empire the world had known. That I lost does not diminish the magnitude of the game. In an age when women were property, I ruled. In a time when small kingdoms were swept away like leaves, I made Egypt matter. I loved, I fought, I ruled, and I died on my own terms. Remember me not as the caricature created by my enemies, but as I truly was. A queen who wielded power in an age when power was reserved for men. A scholar whose learning impressed even her enemies. A mother who tried to secure her children's future. A ruler who fought to the last breath for her kingdom's independence. I am Cleopatra, and though my tomb has never been found, my legacy is immortal.